Good morning, everybody. It's such a privilege to be asked to speak today, and it sent me down a little memory lane, and I'm going to talk to you about a particular experience of our lives where we went to Cambodia in 2018. So instead of Kathy giving you a more broad, I'm going to give you a little snapshot to prepare yourself for a little story. I have always been aware of the importance of service, and I think that comes from a family that has served, and I've loved being the one when I was little to run and get the Band-Aid. That was, you could bask in the reflected glory of fixing something. And I really appreciated that, but that's my job. I also appreciated what happens outside of your job when you're paid to help people. And I was increasingly aware as our kids, this is sort of back 2018, of the importance of helping your kids to have a sense of their place in the world. And I was aware of studies in Scandinavian countries in particular that showed that a bare minimum of about 2 hours service a week for kids makes an enormous difference to their sense of themselves, their place in the world, their mental well-being, and pays enormous dividends. And I was sort of agitating that the school did something like that, and then went, okay, it's up to me, I'm going to do it myself. And actually, I take that back, we had worked together as a family doing bits and pieces. Like, I'm not sure who remembers, but do you remember when our church ran a breakfast club? Yeah, so it was a while ago. We were part of a group of people who were with one of the sanitarian breakfast clubs serving at a local primary school. And we used to take Isaac and Sasha. Paul and I would take turns taking Isaac and Sasha. And Dom was still preschool age. That was not sustainable. I can just tell you that now. Not sustainable. We did it for a little while though, but I was looking increasingly for something a way where I could serve with my kids and help them get a sense of, I'm not trying to be mean, but our privilege. Sometimes we get a little caught up in how bad it is not having all the devices you want for as long as you want, and going overseas was a way we could do that, but it was really important to me that our kids were safe. So we went to I went to the One Project. I've been praying for a while for an opportunity, and up came this opportunity to serve with Raw Impact with a group of people from the One Project. So go ahead and put up my slides, and I'll show you. Prepare yourself for slide night, everyone. And I have a little bit of show and tell. Before I get on to that, though, I just wanted to say that's me talking about places that I've served, and sometimes people serve up the front, and I'm grateful for the people who do that, and sometimes people serve quietly in the back. I'm grateful to Lindy for these beautiful flowers and the hand in the back getting me up the front. I'm also grateful for all the people who serve in ways that are not recognised, but thank you, whether it's at the coffee car or whether it's serving in Sabbath schools or the times we've, as a church, done car washing, various things. It really does make a difference. It makes a difference to that person, but it makes a difference to you. And that's probably a whole nother talk, but it makes a difference not just being the hands and feet of Jesus spiritually and socially, but biologically. There's actually epigenetic changes that make a difference. If we're out there looking to be happy, it's hard it slips through your fingers. But if you're helping others, happiness sneaks up on you and it makes a big difference. Anyway, it's still not there. No joy? There we go. Okay, I don't know if I'm right in the road, but hopefully you can see around me. It was our first trip to Asia, so we thought we'd spend a couple of days in Singapore, sort of Asia light. We could still speak English and get around on trains and so on, and it was spectacular. That's us on scooters. The first time we'd really seen electric scooters, it sort of dates us really. But we had a very active, fun time, and we're impressed with how together Singapore was in lots of ways. And Cambodia was sort of what I expected. Quite another contrast again. with a bit of a devil-may-care approach to electricity, a lot of tuk-tuks and smells and experiences. And it actually went fairly well according to plan getting in, except for when we arrived, the food poisoning that had actually started in Singapore, which I wasn't really sure of, exploded into this present world, with Dominic vomiting all down the front of the hotel check-in desk. It was quite spectacular. Thanks, Dom. So we missed out on the cultural experience that evening, had a little stay in. The next morning he was all good, so that's his view, seeing Phnom Penh. And, we went from strength to strength after that. There's me looking pretty chill with Isaac, despite the weather being very warm, and me not looking quite so chill when we arrived on site to help build a bamboo house for a family. They gave us a brief on this is how you work all the tools, and I'm there I'm listening to going, this is amazing, this architecture, the sustainability. My friend who's an architect would love this. This is just so amazing. And then he turns to me and goes, okay, Emma, can you demonstrate all the safety features that I was just telling you about? And I'm like, not really. So anyway, we got on with the job and we were divided into teams, and this is me and Icky. Some of you may have seen Icky at Big Camp, working on building the supports for the house. And that's me looking not so chill with the family after the heat of the day. You can see my head is just like a superimposed tomato, very warm. And it was actually amazing. There was opportunities for our kids to serve in practical ways. I saw some video of Dom using an electric stapling in a very relaxed fashion. I'm like, wow, luckily I didn't see that at the time. But there was also, opportunities to hang out with kids, and our two younger ones were sometimes serving with us and sometimes engaged with other carers and, going rock climbing and eating Krispy Kreme donuts and what have you. But Isaac and Paul were on the roof with some other people, and this is the grandmother of the family we were building the house for. So it was a really practical opportunity to serve. We were there for 4 days. We worked alongside of the family that we were going to be building the house for. And it was a grandma, a mother, and some kids. Her husband had been put in jail and didn't have enough money to pay the bribe to get out, and hadn't been charged with anything. He'd just been, taken away. And they'd been living in a single bedroom place with over 20 people. And this was just going to be like the absolute lap of luxury for them. We had a beautiful meal laid on every day by the villagers. You can see us laying into some delicious food, and lots of fun with the kids. And some days were just amazing, and sometimes were amazing. That's me and Isaac with one of the little kids. And some days were not quite so amazing, I've got to be honest. It was pretty hot. That was the first time I'd ever had heat rash. And some people found it a bit challenging at times, including all of my kids. But I managed to snap Sash having a very unpleasant time for a minute. And yet there was lots that was lovely, and there was just hanging by the pool times and going on a cruise and eating lots of delicious food that was incredibly reasonably priced. And there was also some Cambodian delicacies that I didn't partake in. Yeah, it is what you think it is. Yeah. I think Dom managed a lick, but a bit later he managed a leg. There was a spider that was found when we were planting some bamboo, and that one of the Gambo guys was actually just pulls all the legs off and eats them, and then eats the centre, like the yolk of the egg. It was unbelievable. And they just like, you guys are missing out. This is just amazing. And I'm like, good for you. I'm glad you found that spider. It wasn't just performative for the tourists. It was one of the people that we were working with just loved their spiders. I'm taking a picture of this. I just wanted to share this image because this girl in the back, Tess, was taking a gap year. She'd done one of these trips with her school and had found it so inspiring. She'd gone back as a gap year, and just seeing her herding 20 adults into tuk-tuks, paying for them, organising restaurants. She said, I would never thought I would have been able to do this, but if some of you are considering a gap year, this would be an enormous opportunity. So that's the almost completed house that we got up in 4 days. The locals did, obviously, they were working all the time, and we would just be hired guns to make it a little bit faster. So they obviously finished it off. And there's a little zoom in on a family that was actually really happy to be able to help another family. I'm not going to belabor the second point. The second half of the trip was planting bamboo, so this whole process became sustainable in a sort of every sense of the word, and was quite challenging. There was a lot of mud, there was a lot of water, and thankfully I was nervous I was going to have to deal with injuries, and I had a medical kit you would not believe that I took over there. And the worst that we did was pull out a couple of splinters because a lot of people got sick of the mud in their shoes and just was walking barefoot. So thank you for Paul's vision. I think I got a bit. I can't see. And then we got to do some touristy things. And it was a really unique and special experience. So that first photo on the left-hand side is taken on our first day, where we got to see some of the experiences and go to some of the places where some of the really horrific things happened in Cambodia. I won't belabor the point, and I didn't take photos, but I just remember being blessed by those little kittens playing in the background there in that day. And the middle photo is at Angkor Wat. We can see some amazing engraving on some ancient stone and a bullet hole, and that contrast was very much a part of our experience. And the last photo is a bunch of women who happened to be on the trip with us. And they range in age from teens to 60s, but there was such unity and connection from serving with others was fantastic. Oh, sorry. So, how are we travelling for time? Yeah? Okay. So I just wanted to say thank you again for the people who are already serving. And if you're a bit lost and you're wanting to find a way forward, sometimes service is one of those ways. And one of the blessings of this time was looking back through those photos and remembering some of those things. So thank you for asking me. But I also looked at my diary that I was keeping at the time, and that was a real blessing. And there was a couple of verses that really stood out for me that God was teaching me in that time. He said, I read that Luke 1:45, when Elizabeth is talking to Mary and she says, "Blessed is she who has believed that the Lord will fulfill his promise to her," or his promises to her. And I think that was a real take home for me, because it's so easy to have all these promises in the Bible, but if they just sort of wash over you and they don't stick, you don't actually believe that they will come true for you, then there's not much point in those promises, and you're truly blessed and happy if you do that. And the other one was that verse in Ephesians 2:10, "For we are God's masterpiece." And sometimes it's considered, sometimes it's handicraft or his workmanship. But it says, "For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus so that we can do the good things he planned for us long ago." And I often think we don't know what God's got in plan for us up ahead, and it's exciting to know that he does have plans that we don't necessarily have, but he's been working in us through Jesus to make us ready for those things. And I'm just going to show a couple of minutes of a video. It'll be faded out because it just goes on forever. No, it's 5 minutes. But it shows our trip, and if you are interested, check out Raw Impact and some of the more recent trips, because you can see the house that we built has all been, the whole village is filled in and all the trees have built, and they're building a school, and it's just continuing to go from strength to strength. Anyway, thank you again for the opportunity to talk about service and see a tiny snip of our service.
Your love kept pursuing. Now that I've tasted your love, my heart just can't get enough. Jesus, you have me. You have me completely. It's your love in my heart running over, yeah. Every day of my draw closer. Hey! Such a
great to come back and keep seeing the change with the families that were here last year and have moved into houses, and they're now helping other families here. So working with Raw Impact, they're all about giving a hand up, not just a hand out. It's just such a fantastic opportunity to do something that's perhaps a little bit out of your comfort zone. We're having just the best time in serving other people and working alongside them, and that's something I know that you too would enjoy.
Just a year ago, behind me, there was nothing but dirt and field. We remembered how in the book of Genesis, everything was in chaos, and then God spoke and everything became organized. What was once just dirt and clay is now full of life and families. Watching my children play with some of the Kamai kids, watching my wife handle a power tool that I didn't even know she could use. What an amazing experience it's been. You'll never know just how much potential you have until you've actually gone beyond what you think you can do. There's no more amazing thing to come out here and be part of this awesome movement called Raw.
I'm gonna draw